Hello everyone, welcome to another video with me, Adrienne Lee. You know me as the Wandering Art Historian. As you know, we've been taking a closer look at famous paintings, and today's video is dedicated to the self-portraits of Rembrandt van Rijn. Yes! Of all of the artwork that we could study, I wanted to focus on the self-portraits because I think they're really fascinating, okay? Rembrandt, as you know, lived 1606 to 1669. He was part of the golden age of Dutch Baroque painting. He's come up in a lot of my videos because I kind of like the guy. He's known for emotional interpretations of biblical stories. For example, this painting that you see here, The Return of the Prodigal Son, from around 1668. In a previous video, you may recall that we talked about his interpretation of group portraiture at this time, creating kind of a dynamic, active environment, but also finding a balance between ostentatiousness and intrigue and interest, right? But what I really want to do is focus on his self-portraits because I find them very particularly fascinating. Why is that? We have about 80 self-portraits from Rembrandt, covering about 40 years, his entire adulthood, about 2 self-portraits a year. And because of that, we get to see him age from a young man to an older man, a young artist starting out to an established master. And that's pretty awesome. But what I think is fascinating about Rembrandt's self-portraits are he doesn't pull any punches. He depicts himself exactly as he is. He could sweeten the image. He could do a little Photoshop editing, right? But he doesn't. We get a sense that this is the Rembrandt that we know and love through his paintings. And what's very cool is, remember how I said that with his religious artwork, there's a really cool emphasis on the emotion in those paintings? I think that applies to his self-portraits as well. And some people, or some art historians, refer to that as the psychology of light. Look how he has lit these 3 very different self-portraits and how that lighting helps us to interpret his mental state at the time or his feelings at that time. Now there's another really cool thing about Rembrandt, because you know there's always multiple reasons why an artist paints a self-portrait, right? Well, number one, it's free. You don't have to hire a model, right? If you have a mirror, you can do your own self-portrait. And 2, when you know the subject matter so well, that helps you work on your technique and also gives you a little bit of wiggle room to experiment and try new things. But yet there's another reason, and we're going to look at this particular painting right here. This is the Stoning of Saint Stephen from 1625. Why is this painting so significant? Well, it's pretty epic, but this is Rembrandt's first known work of art. He painted this when he was 19 years old. He's depicting the stoning of Saint Stephen, who becomes the first Christian martyr. He died for his faith. And that is who you see here on his knees looking to the heavens. But already, you're probably seeing where I'm going to go with this. Remember that psychology of light? Yeah. Look at this fascinating diagonal line right through the middle of this painting. Do you see it? I know you see it. It's emphasized by this figure's position with his arm raised and his foot thrust forward. Do you notice that this side is in darkness while that side is in light, right? And what is Rembrandt trying to tell us about the figures who are in darkness versus the figures who are in light? I know, the psychology of light. That's a really good phrase when it comes to Rembrandt's work, isn't it? Now, we were talking about Rembrandt's self-portraits, weren't we? Yeah, let me point something really fascinating out to you. Let's take a closer look. Some art historians speculate that Rembrandt has placed upwards of 3 self-portraits in this one painting. However, we are pretty much confirming at least one self-portrait, and that is this figure right here. Now, what's interesting is that while he has included himself on the portion of the painting that's in light, the good guys, however, he's part of the mob. Here, do you see they're all holding the stones that they will then hurl at St. Stephen? He was stoned to death. However, what's very interesting is that he depicts his face as very concerned, troubled, and conflicted, almost as if he himself is saying, what have I gotten myself into? Maybe I shouldn't be hanging out with this angry mob. And if you notice, he has placed his head right above St. Stephen's. Now, if we're talking about the psychology of light and the fact that Rembrandt really focused on the emotional and human aspect of his biblical paintings, he could be saying, he himself, that life is about choosing the light or the dark, right? Do we choose to do good or do we choose to do evil? And I think that's really fascinating, don't you? Yeah, of course. So with this particular painting, you definitely have to take into consideration the arrangement of these figures with this diagonal line that draws our eye right back to St. Stephen and to the face, the self-portrait of Rembrandt. There's another possible reason that Rembrandt would include his own face, not just for philosophical reasons, but if you think about this, not only are you buying a work of art from the master, but in a sense, you're also buying a work of art that's a little piece of the master because he's included his own self-portrait. I often wonder if that was Rembrandt thinking about his future career as an artist, and that maybe people would want to buy works of art because he also included a little reference to himself. Who knows? We may never know, but I think that's kind of fun to think about, right? Thank you so much for tuning in to another video with me, Adrienne Lee. If you could toss $1 or $2 into my virtual tip jar, that would be amazing. If not, I totally understand. If you could like or share these videos or even subscribe to my YouTube channel, that would be awesome. I am the Wandering Art Historian. I am grateful that you're watching these videos and talking about art with me, and I will absolutely see you next time.